All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Talking some baseball with my man Gyiraszin like usual. 8 games, Gyiraszin. Man, it is one of the most chalky 8-gamers I think I've seen in a long time. Pitching, very clearly. Yamamoto, Bailey Ober. That's going to be the chalk pairing. Outside of that, Coors Field on the slate. Obviously, no one likes playing the Rockies, so it's always the other side. The Giants are in town, pretty cheap. Giants aren't great, but nor is this Dakota Hudson character on the mound either. And then we get a Wrigley Wig game. So it's not going to be just all Giants, all Coors Field. I think the Cubs going to get some ownership. Outside of Cubs, outside of Giants, though, I think those are the clear teams with Bailey Ober, with Yamamoto. I'm excited to talk some other pitching options, some other hitting options, see if we can get a little different. That's a broad slate overview, though. Hope everybody out there having a good Tuesday. Throw it to you, Gyiraszin. How we doing today?
Yeah, good, man. It's nice and warm. I think we turned a corner here. We got summer finally in Michigan. I can get out there in the man garage out there, have some fun, watch TV. I love watching games out in the garage at night. But, hey, can't complain. It's SHIPIT Nation's birthday week. Like we get to party, have some fun with that. So I can't believe it's been a whole year already. But, yeah, May 15th, we're going to have a big show, all kinds of fun stuff going on. So I can't wait for that. But man, I can't believe you and I pretty much came and joined SHIPIT Nation about the same time, literally the same day. So it was just like, man, it doesn't feel like, when you're having fun, it doesn't feel like it. Time's flying by, man. A lot of fun here at SHIPIT Nation. The cool thing is, it's like, we get to hear as employees and, part of SHIPIT Nation, Hoop and Tambo are always so transparent. Every time they're working on something, they always tell us what's going on. We never get hit with surprises. It's so great when you work with people like that. And then here, we know of all these things that are brewing, and it's like you keep it in, and when it finally comes out, it's like, man, that's cool. Like the Shiptimizer, man, this is awesome. We've been hearing what's been going on behind the scenes with it. So just to see everything come together, and we're always growing, and man, we never thought we'd be to this far where we are with all the great tools we've added along the way. And hey, it's only going to get better as we keep going. It's only 1 year, and look at all the shit we've done already. So I've been having fun. It's pretty cool, because it's whenever you're a part of something that's, at the beginning stages of something, you're helping lay the groundwork. Man, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I love it. All the people in the community, all these people in our chat are a lot of fun. I like to have fun with them all. Like to be a little goofy, talk some baseball with you. But man, it's great. But you're right. This 8-game slate's a little messed up. We talk about a lot of times, certain slates have, just ways of directing people. And we got that definitely today. I mean, normally we have 10 or 12 games. This is a long one. We only got 8. It's kind of unusual for a Tuesday. Usually Tuesday is the big, everybody plays on Tuesday generally, it seems. Yeah. So kind of a little bit different, but yeah, you're right. It's kind of interesting. You got Aminga, you got him going, you got Yamamoto going, 2 interesting guys. Yamamoto obviously has Miami, who's, not a team we like to definitely attack. And then you got Aminga is playing in he's got obviously a low ERA. He's done really well so far this year, but man, the wind is blowing out heavy over there in Wrigley. I mean, just the hitting models there and the weather models are just off the charts for the hitting weather here today. So, the Cubs are obviously going to be pretty chalky. And then you look at that Coors Field game, you got Dakota Hudson, who throws beach balls at everybody. Nobody is missing that guy's stuff. So, I mean, that's kind of interesting. So you really only got a couple spots people are going to look at. I mean, if you do decide to go any of those routes, you're literally going to have to be perfect on all 4 of your guys. So, if you want to go there, go ahead and go there if you want, but you're going to have to be more perfect. Now, if you choose to go some other routes that maybe we can talk about and, how risky they are along the way, I think there's a couple spots maybe we could look at, a couple different pitchers other than Bailey Ober that we could look at if you want to go there. So I guess we'll just sit back and talk about it. I mean, let's figure it out.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to talk some baseball. Before we do, though, got to say hi to plenty of people in chats. You did hint at our 1 year coming up next Wednesday. I'll get there actually first right there. So crazy to think about. May 15th, the 1-year anniversary. You mentioned we came a little later. When we came, though, there was no MMA. We have MMA now. There was no NASCAR. We have NASCAR. There was no college football. Shout out Smarty and a couple other members that were in Discord always helping. Now we have DGen. We have projections, all of that. College football when it rolls around. The Stone, DGen, huge merger. Obviously, when he came over, one of the best PGA minds in the business, the Stone, which now we have in multiple sports over here. NBA, Rio came over, absolutely dominated the NBA streets. Again, projections, ownership, the Shiptimizer that we just came out with, again, 2 weeks ago, last Wednesday, we released the Shiptimizer. Still, plenty of people are testing it out. If you have any recommendations, things that you want to look at, changed, we already have a plenty big list from people in the Shiptimizer portion in Discord. I see Tambo answering questions there. We're jotting stuff down, always looking to improve. It's still so new that, again, if you sign up right now, BDay15 is the promo code. Last chance to get locked in, 15% off our lowest prices, monthly, annual, 6-month. You do get to try the Shiptimizer. If you're a monthly, annual, or monthly 6-month annual member, PGA, MLB, you can mess around with it for free. It will be charged next month eventually when we feel good about it. Content, Shiptimizer for under $100. Best price in the industry. Can't beat it. Great content. That is our number one goal. From the beginning, Hoop and Tambo, before we were even over here, their number one goal, make everything affordable. Crazy the prices in the industry right now. You still need to play money. Just because you're paying for content, you then need money to put in contests to then pay, hopefully, for your content that you're paying for, etc. So low content, pay cheap for that, still get good content. You can play more in contests, bankroll management, and that is the goal over here. Shiptimizer, very excited for that. Again, if you haven't given it a try, make sure to dabble with it. Still in the beginning stages, still trying to get kinks and other stuff worked out. But BDay15, 15% off monthly, 6-month, or annual package. Got our man Nades in here, crushing the MLB content over here. Monday, Friday, slate plan. He's on the core report. Easy slate tonight, Royals season. So I'm excited. Talk some Royals. What's going on? Mike Carr, Greg, Sean, Gator Nation, Juice, Aubrey, Wins a Lot, Ross K, Michael W, Adam. Who else do I got? I think that's everybody. I was jumping around there. Let me catch on this quick. What's going on, Devin? I've been doing 2 to 3 stacks in each lineup with 2 to 4 hitters from each team in a build, and I'm always left with the goose egg from at least 2 players. Am I just unlucky or bad process? Good question. Again, I prefer, Gyiraszin has talked about this a little bit. I prefer just stacking one team mainly, a 5-man stack like on DraftKings. If you want to go to like a 5-3, a 4-4 is not crazy. And the reason for that, to touch on your last thing, it is common to have a goose egg from at least 2 players, from 1 player, etc. If you succeed 3 out of 10 times in the MLB, you're a Hall of Famer. So think about that. 30%, just getting 1 hit, the single, you're a Hall of Famer. So you do need to expect zeros in your lineup. Why I like to stack 1 team or 2 teams and why people do it, because baseball is so hard, you need less things to go right when you just pick 1 team. You pick 1 team and they put up 14 runs, you have a lot less of a chance for one of your guys getting a 0 in that team because they just put up 14 runs. If you pick a one-off for all different 8 spots or 9 spots on your team, you're more than likely to have a lot of zeros in there because it's easier to score a lot of points when you have runners on base in front of you. When you stack a team, you can have your own runners on base. 1 double brings in 2 of your guys. You get 2 runs. You get 3 RBIs. You get multiple points for 1 outcome. So I hope that makes sense. To answer your question, though, that is normal. And that is why baseball, very high variance sport. I try and need less things to go right for me, which is why I pick mainly 1 stack for a team, 5-man it up, and hopefully they put up a crooked number that way. But definitely it is not like NBA. You ain't getting zeros from multiple guys in NBA. If so, you're definitely tweaking. MLB, that is normal for sure. What's going on, Jake? Yep, Nate's 5-2-1, 5-3 for him. T-Wolves, man, T-Wolves are looking good. No doubt about that. Put the bang on, or the hammer, I should say, on the Nuggets. NBA, we got NBA still. 2 games today. Rio has the slate playing up. Showdown core reports. Very, very fun NBA playoffs. Shiptimizer, last thing before we go go pitchers first. We just came out with our own optimizer called the Shiptimizer. Again, right now, we're not charging for it. If all you need to be to check it out, a monthly, a 6-month, and annual member. Or if you're MLB only, you get to MLB Shiptimizer. You're PGA only, PGA Shiptimizer. It's our optimizer over here that we just released last Wednesday. Go to the PGA show last Wednesday, Hoop and Tambo. The first 25 minutes, 30 minutes of that show talked about it, our release, answered some questions about it as well. So make sure to check that out. Last question, I will mention, does the stack have to be back-to-back hitters new to MLB? Great question. No, it does not. That is the most common thing, but you can get a little different in a stack. Go 1, 2, skip the 3, 4, 6. Like, it doesn't always have to be there. I don't love going in a mini stack like a 1, 5, 8, I guess. Again, it can work, but again, if they're spread out too much, it's unlikely that the runner will be on second and third. You'll have opportunities as much to make them, but it can get different doing that. I wouldn't focus too strongly about them having to be right next to each other by any means.
And I think, too, to go back to help Devin, real quick, you guys, is like if you're new to MLB, man, every day the hand's been shown. So go back to your past contest and look at what the winners did. You'll start to see some, common names, people that, maybe are playing quite a bit. You can start to see patterns, how they build their lineups, what they do in different scenarios. But baseball's cool, and I like baseball. I've been playing it for 10 plus years, DFS wise. Is every day it's a different kind of slate. Like we mentioned today, it's going to be pretty focused. The funnel, all the funnel of people is getting pushed to certain spots and, different scenarios. But in reality, by going back and looking at past results, now, whether you want to call it a dead ball or not, but we haven't been seeing a lot of the double-digit runs as we did in past years. We also haven't seen the 60 and 70-point pitchers as we've seen in past years. So the really chalky pitchers haven't been a must. I mean, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, even if certain guys were on the mound and you didn't have them and they scored 65, I mean, there was a team, you were getting beat. I mean, you weren't even coming close. So, but like in the beginning part of the season, it's been spread out. So, trying to combat that, trying to keep up with really what's happening. Now, the last week it's kind of changed because we've seen some pretty big numbers, but, I was basically stacking one team and then almost making it kind of like a cash team, putting in 4 one-offs or maybe sticking in one game and have 4 from one team, 1 in the other, and then picking 3 spots that I thought was good to mix in with my stack. I'm not saying I won any tournaments, but I was cashing a little bit more. But really, to win a tournament, especially the larger field tournaments, you got to stack it up. You got to hit the 2 teams, like today. I think, in my opinion, tomorrow we'll probably see nobody on the Cubs will be on the winner and nobody in Coors Field will be on the winner tomorrow. I mean, it'll probably end up, that's how it'll end up being. Now, we know that. But like last night, you had to have the Dodgers. Dodgers were really chalky. But also Kansas City was kind of chalky, so it's just things that happen throughout times, but the chalky pitcher has not been working out so far this year. And really the stacks haven't been working out on a regular like they have been. I mean, too, you could stack up the right team and you miss all the damn home runs. That pisses you off too. But hey, in your process, you're on the right team. You got to stick with it. It's just like poker. You can play aces all the damn time. Don't mean you're going to win every time. But in your process, in your head, like playing blackjack, you didn't hit something you shouldn't have hit. You lost, you accept it. It's the same way in baseball, but hey, baseball is a tough sport mentally. I personally, I've been through it. I get numb to it. I just enjoy every day. It's like a new puzzle, and I get to try to put together what I think is the way for me to win all the cheese. And I've learned a lot by, with being with guys around SHIPIT Nation and, all over the years that I've been involved with in the DFS industry. And, the more you listen, it's just like anything, the more you're involved, you pick up on it, man. It's a lot of fun. I like baseball. It's my favorite one of all the DFS sports. And yes, you can have 2 zeros. I've seen a 0 at a pitcher win a very large tournament before. So it can be done. But if you got to have the 2, less than 5% teams go off for you if you're going to have a 0 at a pitcher. But you can still do it, man. You can still do it. It's been done.
Yeah, you can. You need the double dongs, stuff like that. You need a lot to go right, but definitely can. You mentioned poker. I just came back from a couple hours this morning, Gyiraszin. I swear I looked at 8-4, 7-4, and 9-4 more than I've ever looked in my life. So
yeah, but that makes it easy, Title. It's better than looking at Jack, 10, Queen, Ace, 9. You know what I mean? Like, so I hate those days because then you get, it's so tempting. You're like, I'm staying with my Jack 10. I'm gonna bust this clown. And then, because those are the hands in cash games you really get paid on. But in a tournament, you got to have a different mindset. And I can't do that because cash games, you got to go for the one kill. Like you got to realize that I can't win the whole tournament in one hand. So
that is true.
I hate that.
That is definitely true. Hoop, hey, Phil remembers this. Hoop shipped 100K with -8 from Kikuchi. Definitely can be done. All right, let's talk pitcher by pitcher. Someone did mention Reeser. Again, it's an early game. I'm not a weatherman. Looking at Roto Grinders, though, Roth has yellow, orange for Cleveland, and just yellow for Cincy. So if I had to guess, scattered storms moving in during the later half of the game. Cleveland at least gets half in, probably all of it yellow, orange. Yellow for Cincy means probably good to go. But again, I'm just reading exactly what Ross says. On this slate, though, main slate, we don't have to worry about any weather from what I'm seeing. Let's talk some pitchers, though, Gyiraszin. 8K and above to start it off. We mentioned it. So actually, we're going to go 7-6 and above because Bailey Ober's there. You know what? I'm going to scratch us all, Gyiraszin. We're going to put pitching all together because I think you can cross off pretty much 4/5 of these guys. Like if you want to go Imanaga for Chicago against San Diego as a contrarian spend, he's going to be low owned. 5% maybe, something like that. Wind's blowing out. This Padres team, I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm not going to play him. Yamamoto is by far the best play on the slate in terms of pitching. Not even a close second. I think in 150 teams, I don't think you're crazy if you play him in all 150 teams. Know the risk from that, etc. But with how bad pitching is on this slate, there's plenty of cheap bats. Like he's a lock and load for me. Ronaldo Lopez, I think he's an interesting pivot up top against Boston. One of the higher K props on the slate, 5.5, pretty much even money. That's not very high. But again, on this slate, it's solid. He has good strikeout stuff. I think he's interesting, and you can go Yamamoto, Lopez if you want to pair them. I think there's enough cheap bats. I haven't played Verlander in years. Not going to do it today against the Yankees. I actually prefer Yankees than I would Verlander. Cutter Crawford, I just don't love picking on Atlanta. He has the K stuff. He's an X for me, though. I'd rather Luis Gil at 8.3K, 5.5K prop, a little juice on the over. Don't love picking on Houston either. I do think you'd be in my pool for 20 entry. Do I love it? No. It's just I don't love multiple pitchers. I don't love picking on Houston. You get me 15 from Luis Gil at 8.3 as a pivot off of Bailey Ober. I'm good with that. So in the Gil, no butthole. Ober's the chalk SP2. Seattle strikes out a ton. It all makes sense. But if you go Yamamoto and you lock him in and then you go Ober, you have to think about what you're doing at bats. I do think Seth Lugo is a solid pivot. I think he's the chalky pivot, though. So what ownership is that? I don't know, 15% maybe. I'm interested. No Colin Ray. And the last one, no Hancock, no Mikolas. Kyle Harrison. I don't like playing pitchers in Coors. He's the one, though, I think. If you're playing 20 teams, I think you could have some Kyle Harrison teams. I think you could have some low-owned Rockies teams. So I got Harrison, Lugo, Ober, Gil, Lopez, Yamamoto, all in the pool, I guess. And again, I could easily cross off Gil. Even Kyle Harrison, I could cross off too, but 6'4 is interesting. I narrowed it down to my 6. Talk about your pool, your favorites, your approach, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's a lot of guys you can cross off. I mean, I'll start up at the top too. I mean, Omega, we got a win game there. You got the Padres. I mean, you definitely could go there. I just don't like the price. This is way up there. If he was a little cheaper, he could definitely be in play. Yamamoto obviously is going to be chalk against the Marlins, who we like to attack. Lopez is interesting. I mean, Boston just really doesn't have too many Ks, though. Atlanta's just been struggling a little bit. I mean, Lopez is a pivot off Yamamoto if you want to go there. Verlander, as you mentioned, he just doesn't have the strikeout stuff. And actually, the Yankees' strikeout numbers have been down a little bit. So definitely don't want to go there. Cabrera, not interested against the Dodgers. Now, the guy that I'm going to add to my pool that you didn't have is Cutter Crawford. I think that is interesting just because of how bad the Braves have been. I mean, I was chanting Braves all in the first few weeks of the season, how great they are. And damn, they are good. But man, they're striking out at an incredible clip in the last couple weeks against righties. Cutter Crawford's been looking really good. He doesn't get hit at all. His hard hit rate is really low. I mean, I think he could get to him here. I think it's a guy you could definitely pivot to that could get us some Ks. So I think Cutter Crawford is interesting in this spot. I mean, it's a guy that's going to be also a pivot off of Gil, who I think is going to get some ownership, but the Houston Astros just don't strike out. And I just don't see where the upside is. I mean, what are you going for? A win, really? I mean, you could go that. Now, I like to laugh at Butto. We all like to laugh at Butto, but I was told it's Buto, but Butto, it's going to be Butto, like the Indians are the Indians. That's just the way it is.
No one clicks the name anyway.
Right. So I'm not interested in there, but Ober's going to be mega chalk. Seattle's been striking out. They're terrible. I mean, they're striking out at an incredible rate too. But, Luke Ober's definitely going to be there. The thing with Ober is though, I'm a little concerned. I was digging into it. If you look at his last few games, he's been getting beat up in the sixth inning on the back end of that second time around, up at that third time around. So I don't think they're going to let him get to the third time around that lineup. They might only let him go 5 innings. So now you're kind of worried on FanDuel if you're going to get a quality start, which I am playing more on FanDuel here today. So I'm a little concerned about Bailey Ober's quality start chances. So a little concerned about that. But other than that, you got Lugo, I think will be fairly chalky, especially over there on DK. You could definitely go that route. Rhea, Harrison, I mean, we like a pitcher in cores. Sure, I could see why. I'm not really there. Hancock, I'm not really a fan of. And Michaelis, Vasquez, Hudson sucks, man. He's terrible. That dude throws, as I said, beach balls. He might as well roll him up there and let's play kickball. But either way, I think pitching is kind of condensed. My sleeper, my sneaker, the guy I'm going to probably be a little different with is Cutter Crawford. I think that guy could definitely be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate. I don't know what the hell the Braves got in their water over there. They can't see the ball for shit. So, I mean, let's just roll with it. I mean, Crawford's been pitching well. And, you look into his metrics at what pitch he's been using more. He's not throwing his fastball as much as he used to. He's going to some breaking pitches a little more. So, maybe Crawford's found something. I know they got a new pitching coach, so hey, maybe a little coaching's helped them out a little bit here. But man, the Braves been struggling so bad that I don't think anybody would feel comfortable clicking his name. And I think that's what you got to do tonight. You got to make it some uncomfortable clicks if you're going to win tonight. Just because I think the field is going to be so pushed. It's not like a past couple days we've been on together where we say, oh, it should be a pretty open slate. It shouldn't be anybody that's really crazy. I'm telling you, I think Ober will be 60% owned, I think, on DraftKings today. It's over 50. I can almost I wouldn't doubt if it's in the 60s.
Yeah, and the higher stakes, lower field stuff, I wouldn't be surprised either. I would not be surprised.
Me either. But yeah, it's an interesting slate, like you mentioned. No really weather except the wind. I mean, it was a really windy game in Wrigley. Now, sometimes those games don't work out. I mean, to me, I kind of am over that shit. I don't always buy into that, but really tonight there's some decent hitting against some good pitching. So I mean it's definitely a funneled slate tonight. So we're gonna have to figure out to be a little different. So let's figure out some bats. I think the pitching's fairly easy.
Yeah, I will mention, so it's not 90 plus and humid in Atlanta yet, but it is 85 degrees in Atlanta. It is the best hitting it's the warmest game on the slate. Chicago has a better hitting weather. I've seen like 10 to 15 dead to center, which is dead to center at 440 or it'd be 540 Chicago time is good hitting weather, but it's not like peak summer day game, 20 to 30 miles an hour. Like those, we get like 13 totals at Wrigley. It's not quite there. So I want people just to know that it is, again, Atlanta. I get your Cutter Crawford take. He's going to be low owned. He's got good K upside. If you want to mix them in with Cubs, with Giants, it makes sense. I am like 85 degrees. Balls will be carrying these Braves. I'm not completely writing them off yet. I actually think so. I'd be on the Braves side as a very low owned stack with Ober, Yamamoto, Pivot, or the pairing there and a different offense in the Braves. I prefer that than Cutter getting different. I do like it though. We don't always agree on this show. The Kyle Harrison, man, I don't know. Like at the end of the day, if I'm playing 5 teams, I'm playing Yamamoto in every single team. Ober and maybe a couple. I don't like just locking Ober, Yamamoto, because I think Gil, which is scary against the lefties in Houston. Get by Yordan, get by Tucker. The bottom order's got some strikeouts though. But yeah, in Yankee Stadium, it'd be hard to get there. Maybe I just like Harrison, Lugo as the pivots for cheap, and Yamamoto up top. Like I'm indifferent about Ronaldo Lopez. I just think he's a solid pivot. Or people are going to go cheap for SV2, so you kind of mix up the build. Gil has the second highest K prop on the slate at 6.5. Juice on the under though. And then third is, hold on, yeah, change. Where's Over? Give me one sec. Bailey over 5.5 juice on. Yeah, so it goes
Yeah, I bet on
Yamamoto.
that. I bet on Bailey over 5.5 earlier today. That was like, I think that's stealing.
It's minus 160 now. But yeah, just K prop wise, it's Yamamoto, it's Gill, then it's over, then it's Kyle Harrison. Kyle Harrison's 5.5 juice on the over minus 120 in Coors Field with what should be some run support. So yeah, give me Lugo against the Brewers I'm not worried about, and give me Kyle Harrison. So if I'm ranking, Yamamoto 1, Lugo 2, Harrison 3 is where I'm going to go top 3. Take it away for your top 3, and then we'll get to bets.
Yeah, I mean, top 3, Yamamoto would be 1. Then I probably would actually go, I guess I'd go Ober just because, man, they suck, man. Seattle stinks, man. They can't hit anything. And then I think I'm going to go with Cutter Crawford. I just think he could be the difference maker today in your lineups. I mean, I think he could definitely do it. But, yeah, I'm going to go that route. I think those are my top 3. I'm not, playing over on FanDuel. I think I'm going all in on Crawford, and so I can build me up put me together some lineups, let everybody else play Yamamoto. I think Crawford could keep me within 10. I'll make it up with some bats. But, yeah, I think that's going to be my plan here today. But I saw a question from Davis there, Devin Davis, say, do you ever look at wind direction, winds blowing, headwind versus tailwind? We always look at the weather. Weather is one of the most important things in baseball that's a little different from all the other sports. I mean, you could argue football if you want with the rain and stuff, but man, in baseball, it does matter so much. Dew point is something that you can pay attention to, which is how heavy the air is. So that's something to pay attention to. You can start to do. And if you don't understand the dew points, Google it, take you 2 minutes and just look at the dew point in Colorado. And then pretty much you want to be somewhere around, that kind of air density. So, it definitely does come into play. Wind is definitely come into play. Now, mind you, the higher up, like in Coors, people will say breaking pitches don't work as well. Knuckle pitches don't work as well. So there's different dynamics to like what the weather is, but that's what makes baseball kind of cool. There's just like different things, that are involved in intricacies of baseball. So I really like it. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, Miles Mikolas, that guy's been a thorn in my ass for years. I should have played him in a live final when he was like a rookie. I played Madison Bumgarner, and I'll never forget that. But yeah, he has been a thorn. He's worse. He's about as bad as Bryce Harper for me. So yeah.
Was that the slate Lou Whitaker was there?
Yeah, man. How do you know? It was actually Lou Whitaker. My pitcher was Jack Morris.
There you go. Robin Yount was in the outfield.
Yeah, Robin Yount was in the outfield. Mike Schmidt at third. Hey, don't worry about it. That's why I'm here. I'm the old wise one.
Yeah, that is definitely true. The old wise one, Gyiraszin. Hit that thumbs up for Gyiraszin. Hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. Cody Bellinger, activate up the IL. Thank you for that information, Ross. Let's go bats. Game by game, Gyiraszin. 8 to talk about again. Clear as day. Cubs, Giants. That's where the chalk is. I'd be very hesitant about Yamamoto, Bailey Ober, and then a 5-man with one of them. You would need a very low-owned secondary stack. You'd probably need to go to the bottom of the order, mix in some lower-owned bats, etc. So let's see if we can get some different bats if you want to play chalk pitching pairing. And otherwise, yeah, you got to get different at pitching if you want to eat some chalk bats is how I see it. First game, Houston Astros, New York Yankees, Justin Verlander, Luis Gil on the mound. 8.5 total, 75 degrees in Yankee Stadium. I don't know, man. I think these Yankees are somewhat interesting. Like, I just don't like Justin Verlander at this point in his career. Like, he doesn't strike many bats out. You get Judge low-owned, Soto low-owned, Stanton low-owned, Rizzo's in the 6th hole. Again, if you want someone cheap, Verdugo, 4-hole, 3.8K. Volpe's leading off at shorts. Bertie down there, shortstop and third base eligible. Like, I think this lineup's in play 1 through 9. We're talking low stacks. If you want to go Bailey Ober and you want to go Yamamoto, Yankee Stadium, solid hitting weather, short porch. I'm not worried about Verlander. I don't think he's dust, but I mean, man, he's not blowing the ball past anyone really nowadays. Some of these Yankees I'm interested in. Astros, I don't know, like Tucker Alvarez, but 5'9", 5'5". I probably don't get to these Astros really. I like some of these Yankees.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there on some of these Yanks. Verlander, he's prone to give up some homers. We've seen it numerous times. I mean, he isn't afraid to challenge anybody, that's for sure. But his strikeout rate to lefties is at like 16%. It's pretty low. So, a guy like Soto is looking pretty tasty sitting there, even as a one-off if you wanted to look at him. But yeah, I mean, these Yankees, they haven't been striking out as much. I think, they're going to put the ball in play. The hard hit rate, the fly ball rate is all high for Verlander. So definitely something I like to look at there. So definitely has some interest in these Yankees. And this over under too got bet up a little bit. It started at 8, it got bet up to 8.5. So I think that's interesting too. I like to look at that and see if, the sports bettors out there are betting up any over unders. There's a good reason why a lot of times if it goes up a run, man, I'm really trying to figure out what the hell happened. So, but yeah, they all went up a half run. So definitely looking at that, but yeah, I'm not interested in any of these Houston guys here against Gill. I mean, you could stack against Gill. I mean, any of these secondary pitchers other than Yamamoto that are going to be paired with him over on DK. I mean, if you attack the other side of one of those pitchers like the Harrisons, the guys like that are going to be the pivots off of Ober, or even if you attack against Ober and use Seattle, I mean, that's going to be a way to be different on this slate. If you wanted to get, like I said, you're going to make some uncomfortable decisions today. So if that's the route you want to go, you can choose one of these guys. Maybe Gill is a guy. If you want to go against Houston ain't going to strike out much. So they're definitely going to put the bat on the ball. So, I mean, it's something you could look at, but yeah, it's not something I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think Gill's very much in play. Like the more teams you build, if I had 20 teams, he'd be in my pool more than likely. I prefer him to then stacking these Astros. I like these Yankees though. Yeah, as a low-owned stack, I think Yankees will be one of my favorite low-owned stacks, and that's where if I'm blocking Yamamoto and I'm mixing in Bailey Ober, the Yankees 5-man, I would be fine eating both chalk pitchers with the Yankees. Reeser, stand 3 dingers off of Verlander. Love to see that. I'm not a big BVP guy. Like, I don't go out of my way to look at it, I guess. But when I see numbers like that or other people bring it up, I do believe that pitchers see the ball better out of some pitchers' hands than others. So it's not like I'm discrediting it by any means. When I see stuff like that, I do like to maybe give a little boost to Stanton there. But yeah, what about you, Gyiraszin? BVP guy or no?
I can say that I don't look at it with pitchers I feel been less than like 4 or 5 years in the majors. I don't even bother. But when you get a guy that's at like the tail, like a Verlander, maybe, tail end of his career, and I see a guy that's done it all a career long, like certain guys just hit certain guys, but I don't really put too much into it with 2 or 3 years. The guys don't, it's not even worth me looking up at that point.
Like 15 at bats, 20 at bats.
Yeah, I'm not even, I want to see 100 plus at bats. I want to see, a pretty big sample size before I think it matters, but it can matter. I mean, if I'm in, like something and really, diving into trying to find an edge on something, it's something I keep in my bag where I want to look. Yeah, sure. But I wouldn't say I do it every day just because it doesn't reward me enough to look there, I guess, is probably the best way for me to put it. It has some value, but just not enough for me to always look there.
Yeah, maybe a tiebreaker or something last scenario. Yeah, Devers versus Cole. There's some that we absolutely like him who crushes it. But I still don't go out of my way to really play them. I think G-Man Choi against Cole has good numbers too. We'll keep it going, though. Red Sox, Braves, Cutter Crawford, Ronaldo Lopez, 85 degrees in Atlanta, 8.5 total. I like Lopez. I'm not getting any of these Red Sox. You like Cutter Crawford, so you're not playing the Braves. I think Braves are, again, if you're going Yamamoto, Bailey Ober, the chalk stack, I think the Braves, we're going to get to a lot of these other spots. I don't like too many low-owned teams today. I like the Cubs. I like the Giants. So does everybody. So trying to get a couple other teams, low-owned teams, yeah, the Braves, I mean, everyone's saying how bad they've been, which is true. The prices are still up a little bit. Low ownership. It's still warm in Atlanta. This offense is good enough 1 through 9 to jump on any team. You hope you get them 3-4% owned, and today's the day. So I'll have some interest. 1 through 9 Braves. Totally get no interest though. You like Cutter Crawford, so you can just say no bats in this one.
No bats and bet on Cutter Crawford strikeout prop 4.5. Thank me tomorrow.
There we go. Chicago Cubs, San Diego Padres, Randy Vasquez, Shota Imanaga on the mound. 70 degrees, wind blowing out directly to center. Looks like 10 to 15 miles an hour. 9 total. Cubs, one of the highest team totals on the slates. Ross said that Bellinger was activated off the IL. We do not have a lineup out yet. Definitely a big boost for them, though. Cubs are in play 1 through 9. Plenty of cheap bats in their order, too. They're in Chicago. They're in Wrigley. They didn't know that it was going to be a win game the night before. DraftKings didn't account for that in the pricing like they do Coors Field. Cubs, definitely very chalky. You can play the bottom of the order, I think, to get a little difference. Otherwise, maybe fade one or both of Yamamoto, Bailey, Ober if you are 5-manning the top of the order of the Cubs. I don't really have much more to add. Padres are interesting. Wins blowing out. Still a low team total for them. Imanaga's good. I'm more so, I don't want to pick, even with Wrigley win game and blowing out a little bit, I still think Imanaga is one of the best pitchers on the slate. There's other people I'd rather target against. Yeah, I'm not really getting to these Padres, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's crazy. Guaranteed ninth inning at bat, solid hitting weather. I would be surprised to see the Padres on the winner with a 5-man stack. So mini or nothing for me. Break it down.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan too much of the Padres, but man, these Cubs are interesting. I mean, you're thinking, oh, there's a Coors Field game. How can I get around Coors Field, especially with a shitty Dakota Hudson pitching? So, this win game, I wish it wasn't as much of a win game because I would like this if the win it had no factor. I still would like it just because, man, this guy we got pitching, he's got a really low strikeout rate to lefties. He just doesn't seem to have any ground ball ability according to his, stats, his measures so far. So, man, you're telling me now I'm going to get a wind blown game out and we got a guy that can't keep the ball in the ground and isn't missing any bats? Like, okay. And I mean, the Cubs got some lefty power. We definitely like, the lefty power Talkman. We like Bush. We always like Bush, title. We always like Bush. But
that's the old man Gyiraszin in him right there. Him and Ken
it can't be a
Whitaker.
fuzzy one now. It's got to be grill. You got to have a little stripe is cool. But either way, I think this lineup here, and now you're going to add Cody Bellinger, or you're going to basically take off Armstrong. But I mean, you're adding Cody. I mean, now really sign me up. I think that's a big boost to him. I think that over could get bet up a little bit too. So it's something that I definitely like the Cubs. For me, the Cubs are the top offense. It just sucks they're going to be as chalky as they're going to be. If you do decide to go Cubs, you're pretty much going to have to nail all the right guys. So if you miss one of the homers, I think you're going to be screwed. So that's the only thing that kind of sucks if you want to play the Cubs.
Yeah, ownership. I mean, you can get to the bottom. Like, I'm trying to look at some of the most popular Cubs, I think. Morel at third base, Dansby, Amaya at catcher, like a cheap punt people are trying to get out of there. What's Cody's price? Man, I'm just trying to see how we can get different playing these Cubs. Cody Bellinger is 4.9K, which is pretty cheap. I guess probably the bottom of the order. Yeah, probably the bottom of the order. Or Bush and Wisdom are in there. You only can play one at first base, which I guess makes it a little tough. You need to guess the right one. But if you at least get the right first baseman, it'll bury some of those other teams that have the wrong Wisdom or Bush. I don't really got much more to add. 1 through 9, a lot of these guys are going to be owned. I just think if you are playing 5-man Cubs, probably fade one of Ober Yamamoto for the most part. Even if you stack 5 through 9, I guess might be a little different, but even 3 guys at the bottom of the order, 2 at the top of the order, I think will have enough ownership where you're going to want to be different somewhere else. Yeah, not more to add for me. No Padres, or at least mini stack at best. Cubs 1 through 9. Think about how you play them. Next game, Brewers, Royals, Colin Ray, Seth Lugo. 9 total, 75 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit in KC. 9 totals, pretty solid. The Brewers, I like Seth Lugo. He is going to get a little bit of ownership, though, so I think a mini stack Brewers is definitely in play. I will say, though, I think Tyler Black is going to be decently high owned, maybe hitting in the middle of the order, 2.9K. He'd be the one Brewer. As a one-off, I'd be a little worried about. But yeah, mini stack for the Brewers, like a Contreras, Frelick, Turang, I think are all good. Royals, I saw our man Nades liked him. Colin Ray doesn't strike out many bats. Both lefties and righties can get to him. Lefties hit him better. But man, if I'm playing a 5-man Royal stack, I'm playing Bobby Witt at 6-1. Vinny P, Massey, MJ Melendez, Isbell, the lefties in the order. Massey only 3.3K, hitting the ball really well, second base. I like these Royals, prefer lefties. Always love Bobby Witt, though. Mini stack Brewers, I think you can 5-man Royals. What about you?
Yeah, Colin Ray, he's just, his strikeout percentage, he's not striking anybody out, 13.9% against the lefties. I don't know. I can't go there. I can't even think, to play Khaled Reyes. So let's look at the Royals. I think the Royals are good, but yesterday the Royals burned me. I played some Royals yesterday. Vinny didn't do shit for me. Every time he was on, every time he was up, he had dudes on, and I was sitting there, come on, in play runs. And I kept getting strikeout.
Better than my MJ Melendez, who got pinch hit for after 2 at bats. So at least your dude had a chance.
You know what? I can say I've been noticing MJ Melendez and Perez have been either getting pitch run or pinch hit for, especially later in games, because they've been taking them out for defensive purposes. So, Perez, you got to start hitting some freaking homers so they leave your ass in late in the game. So, basically, come on, Nades. He's giving me some shit. But,
He wrote, hey. Come on, Gyiraszin. You wrote, come on,
But no, I do think the Royals here are definitely interesting. I'm just not going there today. They burned me yesterday. I'm not going there. Massey hit a home run yesterday. Definitely interesting. But Rhea, the hard hit rate, no thank you. His fly ball rate to righties is too high. So, Perez is interesting. Renfroe is interesting. I just don't like the bottom part of this Royals lineup. But Bobby Witt is definitely a strong play.
Oh, yeah. Bobby Witt's always a great play for sure. Let's get to this next game.
I don't go back.
Seattle Mariners, Minnesota Twins, Emerson Hancock, Bailey Ober, 65 degrees in Minnesota. 8.5 total. So these Mariners, let me just say, these Twins, they might get a little ownership. I think they're relatively low owned. I don't want to play these Twins. I think where I'd get to the Twins 5-man is if I went Lopez, Yamamoto, because then you're double spending, which takes away some other 5-man stacks. And then I think that's when you can go Twins, because so many of them are cheap and you can get different roster construction. Maybe, I guess, Ober, Yamamoto, some Twins I think could work as well. I don't love these Twins. Hancock's not good though, so I'll let you talk on him mainly. Bailey Ober, though, some of these Mariners, I think, again, 5-man stack, probably not with the Wrigley win game, with the Coors Field. But a mini stack, if you're not playing Ober, most definitely makes sense as someone that's going to be way higher owned than he usually is because of the nature of this pitching slate. I don't know, man. Some of the Seattle bats prefer lefties. Both righties and lefties do have solid fly ball rates against him, though. He strikes out a lot less. Bailey Ober does against the lefties. I don't know, man. What lefties do I even want to play? Jorge Polanco's solid. You can always play Cal Raleigh's not even in the lineup. Garver's in there instead. Polanco, Josh Rojas. I guess Mitch Garver for power. Ty France if you want some power too. I was hoping there'd be more lefties in this order. Polanco, Rojas, I guess, as minis, as one-offs. Otherwise, don't love Seattle. Trying to get some direct leverage off a chalk pitcher, though. Talk to me, Gyiraszin. Any Mariner bats you can make a case for? What about the Twins?
I mean, you can make a case. The only one I'd really even think about is Cal Riley. I mean, you could.
He's not even in.
That'd be the only guy that I'd probably even think about playing. Julio's got one damn home run. Everybody plays him. He's cheap, but he hasn't really done shit all year. But both these pitchers, low walk, low strikeout pitchers, but neither one really gets hit hard when you look at it. So, Hancock's kind of weird. His numbers against lefties actually aren't too bad, but he's not missing any of the bats. Like, he's just not getting barreled up against the lefties. So, I just don't think maybe mini stacks. I think my favorite hitter in the whole game is Max Kepler. I mean, that dude's been smoking the shit out of baseballs. If you look at the last 15 days, he is literally number 2 in OPS, 1.214 OPS here in his last 15 days. So last 2 weeks, Max Kepler is one of the top 5 hitters in MLB. So Jeffers isn't too far behind him either. So those are 2 guys that, maybe you could throw in if you wanted to use a Twins mini stack. You could probably go at the top of that lineup, with Jeffers and Kepler, maybe throw in someone, somebody else if you wanted to look at that. So I don't mind. I actually think I like the Twins a little bit better than I like the Royals, but I think they're kind of along the same lines. But give me some of these Twins, and it's just because they're just hitting so well. I mean, I'd rather go with their hotter bats here. So Max Kepler, like I mentioned, man, this dude's just been absolutely smashing. He's 16 out of 37, 8 RBIs. He's hitting 432, 5 out of 11 on base percentage, 703 slugging in his last 2 weeks. I'll ride it.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I don't like this game much. Like, I don't like the Twins. I don't like the Mariners. I was hoping for direct leverage. I like your Max Kepler one-off. Should be relatively low owned. I prefer the Royals over the Twins. I prefer the Yankees. I want to cross off some spots, 65 degrees with these Twins. I don't love that game, and I'll get right to this next one. Mets Cardinals. Let's cross off, for me, crossing off bats in this game too. I don't think it's crazy to play some of these Mets against Mikolas. All the dude does is throw strikes. Gets hit a little harder against lefties, though. The bats I like, Pete Alonso, Starling Marte, JD, all from the right side. Should have Nimmo in the leadoff spot. I think he's fine. Lindor. At the end of the day, though, I think as a five-man stack, I prefer multiple other spots more. They're fine as minis. 80 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit in St. Louis with solid hitting weather. I guess I don't respect the pitchers as much, but I like other offenses more than this. So crossing off Minnesota, Seattle for bats, crossing off Mets, St. Louis outside of one-offs for me. What about you?
Yeah, Michaelis's ground ball percentage is scary. I mean, it's like 40%, 45% are righties. I mean, the dude just gets too many ground balls. He throws too many strikes. He's not going to walk anybody. You just don't really get too many big innings against this guy. So, and the Mets suck. So, I mean, if you want to look at Alonso, he is going to get some pitches to hit. That's a big boy. He gets a hold of one. You might be able to home run hunt there. But, looking at this game here, I'm not interested. The game did get bet up, though, from an 8 to 8.5, which I thought was kind of weird. But
maybe the weather. It's hot.
Yeah, that would make sense. But, just kind of thinking like, man, both these offenses have just been stagnant. Neither one's really been hitting the ball very well. So, but yeah, I'll just pass on both ends.
2 games left, Gyiraszin, Coors Field and the Dodgers. Appreciate everyone, 177 watching live. If you're watching on playback, we appreciate you as well. Again, like button helps us out a ton. Subscribe button helps us out a ton. And 1 week and 1 day away from our 1-year anniversary. You're not going to want to miss it. That's a Wednesday, so you will see Gyiraszin and I talking some baseball. The PGA show with Hoop Tambo. There'll be giveaways, no doubt about that. You can bank on it. Wednesday, May 15th, the 1-year anniversary. Last chance, lock in the 15% off, our lowest price. BDay15 is the promo code, 15% off. And again, an added bonus, if you do sign up right now, Shiptimizer came out last Wednesday. It's free right now. Again, if you have any recommendations, you're messing around with it, Shiptimizer portion in Discord, you can let us know. We've already been making a list on updates and things we want improved. Try it out. It's free. If you remember, monthly, 6-month, annual. You can try out PGA, MLB in a month. MMA will be there. NASCAR will be there. And you have no better price in the industry. Under $100. An optimizer, our content. You cannot beat that at all. BDay15, 15% off. 2 games left, Gyiraszin. Coors Field, San Francisco Giants, Colorado Rockies. Kyle Harrison, Dakota Hudson on the mound. 10.5 total. It's chilly, though. I'm seeing like 55 degrees in Colorado. Now, the park, obviously, the bad pitcher in Hudson makes up for that. But, yeah, I guess Giants, Cubs. You already said Cubs is your favorite. That's pretty interesting and pretty tough. For me, if I had to pick, I don't know. I think I probably would go Giants. I'm a slappy for Coors Field. I think Dakota Hudson is absolutely terrible, and guaranteed 9th inning at bats, but it definitely is close. We don't have a lineup out yet. It should be relatively cheap. The bottom of the order, only Conforto and Chapman are above 5K. So you can play 5 Giants with Lopez and Yamamoto, which I guess is a bad thing maybe, which should tell you can leave money on the table, I guess, in a Giant stack. I guess is what I take out of it to try and get a little different. I'll throw it to you on the Rockies side, though, because Kyle Harrison's going to get some ownership, which is weird to think in Coors Field. A 4.6 team total for the Rockies kind of brings me back to, 2 weeks ago? Forget who that pitcher was that was getting ownership in Coors Field. I don't know if it was Woods Richard. No, I don't think it was him. Anyway, Coors Field, solid total. You get direct leverage off a pitcher, which does not happen every day. So naturally, I think Rockies, I do like them in Ober, Yamamoto, in chalkier stuff. Very cheap. I mean, it's just Coors Field, the park, against a somewhat chalky pitcher. I also think Kyle Harrison's fine. Everybody likes the Giants. I have nothing really to add there. No hot takes. Dakota Hudson is #bad, as the kids like to say. What you got?
Yeah, #real bad. But it's looking at the Rockies. I mean, it's tough. I mean, he's got a pretty decent. He's been getting lefties out at a pretty high clip. Harrison, that being right, he's only got like a 20% strikeout rate, which is pretty close, a little bit lower, just a tad below major league average. But for me, it would be tough. I think Diaz with his 428 WOBA against lefties would be interesting. Rogers got a pretty good WOBA against lefties. I mean, maybe 4.56, 3.456 if you want to throw in the lefty of McMahon. I mean, if you wanted to do something like that, I'm just not really a fan. That game does have a high total of 10.5. I mean, we're looking at pretty much, full run and a half higher than everybody else. But I mean, these Giants, the other interesting thing is looking at Dakota Hudson. What I thought the reason why I like the Cubs a little bit better is Dakota Hudson. You look at his ground ball rate, it's 57% on both sides of the plate. That's pretty good. I mean, yeah, the dude sucks, but you're going to want guys on the Giants that hit the ball in the air. Like you're going to want guys that can get it off the ground. Wade, Conforto, Chapman. I think those are the guys I'd pretty much be looking at. Conforto, especially. I really like him today. Wade's definitely interesting. But, I mean, you're going to want the guys that, can get the ball up in the air. So, yeah, for me, that's why I think the Giants, for me, I think I don't know. I think I just pretty much fade this whole game today, to be honest with you. That's why I was thinking I like the Cubs. Maybe pick one of the Royals and Twins to put with, or maybe throw in, some couple mini stacks or, whatever else. But the Cubs for me, I thought were interesting. I'll probably have some Cubs with Cutter Crawford mixed in with a few other guys on my FanDuel team here today. Maybe look at some hot bats like Kepler. Definitely like some Kepler. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think this game is just one for me. I got more reasons to fade it. Dakota Hudson, I mean, yeah, he sucks, but man, I'm just not enamored with this Giant team here. I mean, they're not blowing the doors off anything. They're kind of a below average offense, but I do think you could put up some numbers here. Colorado's just a bad team. We like to go against them, but I mean, we got to be different somewhere, and I'm just going to take a stand. If it beats me, it beats me.
Hey, I will never say no to you fading a chalk offense, especially when there's two. Like if you're only playing, I guess if you're playing one team, you're going to have to. If you're playing 5 teams and you feel something like Gyiraszin and like I always want to completely cross off Coors, pick 3 other offenses or whatever it may be, and hope chalk Giants bust. And if that's the case, you get a leg up on a lot of the field. And you can get more tight, and then you can play more Cubs. If Gyiraszin will be fine playing, like if he has 3 teams, it sounds like 2 or 3 just Cub stacks. And because you're way overweight to the field, even though they are somewhat chalky, you have 100% 5-man stacks or 66%, which will be way above the field that way. And again, it's how you play them more so. I like the Giants. If you like Cutter Crawford, I think you can play Cutter Crawford, Yamamoto, Giants, and then maybe a low-owned mini stack or something after that. Again, you can play chalk Giants. You can play chalk Cubs, chalk Bailey over, chalk Yamamoto, pair them, etc. Just what do you do with the rest of your lineup and how it all works is the thought process and how I'd really be thinking today. If you have 2 of Cubs, Giants, Yamamoto, Bailey over, whether it's 2 pitchers, a pitcher and a stack, etc., think about how you construct the remaining builds. Leave money on the table. Very low-owned mini stack, low-owned SP2, bottom of the order, a wraparound stack, just something like that is the main takeaway there. Last game, Gyiraszin, before we get on out of here. NBA, MLB tonight. Plenty of money to be made. PGA in a couple days. UFC this weekend as well. NASCAR, a lot of money at SHIPITNation.com. Again, B-Day 15 gets you 15% off. Miami Marlins, Los Angeles Dodgers, Edward Cabrera, Yoshibo Yamamoto, 7.5 total, Dodger Stadium, 70 degrees. It looks like wind blowing out a little bit. I mean, if you want to play the Marlins, donate it to a charity. But I do say that Yamamoto is going to be so highly owned. If the Marlins somehow are on the winner, you're winning all the cheese by yourself. So if that's for you, game theory, whatever. I still don't think it's a slate to do that. I'd rather go Seattle against the Twins and popular Bailey Ober. Dodgers side, though, I don't know. They're so expensive, Gyiraszin. Like, I think I like the Braves more than the Dodgers today if I wanted to go a contrarian 5-man stack. So I'm going to say no Dodgers. If so, though, the lefties do profile better against Cabrera. What about you? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree with you that I'd like the Braves, even though I like Cutter Crawford. So this tells you how much I like the Dodgers today. I would like the Braves more than the Dodgers here too. I mean, I don't want to mess with Cabrera. You look at this guy's numbers. I mean, the dude's striking out astronomical righties. He's 27%. I mean, his fly ball rate is low. His barrel rate is extremely low for righties. I mean, lefties, you got like 19% barrel rate in the last 30 days. I mean, the only guy I'd consider probably playing is red hot Shohei. I mean, other than that, I don't want anybody else here on this Dodger team, especially the righties. And I love me some Mookie. I have to tell you, I could play Mookie about it every day, but today in the day that I'd be looking at Mookie, not against Cabrera. But yeah, I just think we passed it. Total's got a 7.5 on it. So damn well they're expecting both teams to, this game to be a 3-2, 3-1 type game. So yeah, I'm going to pass on that one here today. But yeah, I mean, Dodgers are a team. I mean, if you want to go that route here today, you can. I wouldn't. Cabrera is just not going to get hit hard today. And if you do go Dodgers, you're pretty much hoping to get runs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, in my opinion.
If you're going Dodgers, you hope you just get there early, I think, whether Cabrera's walking some or like the top of the order beats him and he gets taken out early. I don't know. If I'm playing Dodgers, I'm definitely playing Ohtani. His last 3 games, 31, 36, 24, 21. Someone mentioned it above, like pitching numbers. Yeah, you would think he's literally a pitcher in his last 4 starts putting up that. Absolutely insane. So him, Freddie Freeman, it's just like the few bats, the lefties I like, they're so expensive. 5-man Dodgers is tough for me to get for sure. It would be the lefties, though. Lux, Outman at the bottom, assuming they're in, and then Ohtani, Freeman, a wraparound. And then, yeah, if a lefty comes in a close game, Lux and Outman probably getting pinch hit for. There we go. Cubs lineup just dropped. Let's see if there's any crazy changes. That's not regardless, though. Bellinger's in there. Bush is in there. No Wisdom. So that was the main thing. You don't have the first. Armstrong still in there, too, for pretty cheap. Bellinger's back in the lineup, though, which is a boost to this Cubs lineup. No Wisdom. Yep, as we mentioned. Gyiraszin, final thoughts for the people. Always fun talking some baseball. My final thoughts, think about if you're playing 2, over Yamamoto, Giants, Cubs. And I'm saying 2 of, assuming you're 5-man stacking, either Giants and Cubs, maybe try and get a little different, whether it's bottom of the order, a different mini stack, a different SB2. If you're playing 2 of the 4, if you're playing 3 of the 4, you really got to think about ownership there. So that's my final thoughts. Clear as day where the chalk's going today.
Yeah, it's a slate where, like we've talked about many times, where the people are getting funneled. You can be different here or there. Today's one of those, where it's going to be fairly chalky day today. So, as you mentioned, I think the win, you're going to have to make some uncomfortable decisions. That's baseball. That's okay. My uncomfortable decision today that I'm going to ride on today is Cutter Crawford. Definitely like that 4.5K prop. I think that guy is going to get us over the hump here today against a struggling Braves team. I think people are going to be uncomfortable to press that button. So I'd go there. I mean, Bailey Ober and Cutter Crawford, I think that might be a good way to build you some lineups here today. So especially over there on DK. But yeah, we're going to have to make some uncomfortable decisions. That's okay. If you do decide to go the chalkier route, like I said, you stack any of the Cubs or the Giants here today, you're going to pretty much have to be perfect. If you miss any of the home runs, you might you're going to be behind. And especially if that's a guy that's 30, 25% owned. You think about it, tournaments only pay the top 22, top 20 sometimes. You might be locking yourself out. So, sometimes that could be tough, but hey, that's what makes it fun. Definitely an interesting slate. Good thing is tomorrow we'll be back title. We get to talk about it. We'll see how it fared for us here. But yeah, let's see how it fares out. But yeah, I'm interested today to see how the hitting is for me isn't as clear as I'd like to see it. I think, it's pretty funneled. I think a lot of people are going to see it that way. And yeah, just make that uncomfortable decision and press something that you're not really happy about. And we'll see how it works for you.
Yeah, that's usually what you got to do, especially in DFS sport like MLB. Like button, subscribe button helps us out a ton. BDay15 is the promo code, 15% off any monthly, 6-month annual package. Gets you PGA and MLB Shiptimizer right now in the trial stage for free. Get in the Discord if you join any of them. Otherwise, MLB only and PGA only options as well. Weekly, if you haven't tried us out, you just want to see what we have on the website for a whole week. This week, if you did it right now, You get MLB, NBA, PGA, NASCAR, and MMA, $24. No Discord, no promo code. Still cannot beat that price. Appreciate all y'all hanging out. Appreciate those words, Greg. Go collect. Let's see some SHIPIT Nation logos up top. For our man Gyiraszin, I'm Titletown. Peace. Be safe.